Is Conflux, the CFX token, still cheap at the current 30 cents? That's a big question because the price already shot up in just the last 7 days. It went up by 450%. Quite a bit of momentum, but justified momentum because there are 3 pieces of news that helped the CFX price quite a bit. First of all, we've got the cooperation with Little Red Pocket. That's over here, right? That's the Instagram of China, so to speak. Then afterwards, we've got regulatory changes within Hong Kong. So Hong Kong will allow the retail crowd in summer of this year to buy crypto again. Before it was only open to institutional investors, to professional investors that had at least $1 million or so laying around. The third piece that supports all of this is China Telecom. China Telecom and Conflux network to pilot a blockchain-based SIM card, a BSIM. First in Hong Kong and then potentially being rolled out, of course, also in Shanghai and the rest of China. That's what pushing all of this, right? So this is the chart since beginning of the year, roughly. And what we see in white here at the bottom, this is the trading volume. And you can see very nicely how this is a news-driven stock, right? A news-driven crypto. So 150% up on the 26th of January. That's when the Little Red Book announcement was made. Then again, a little bit of a rally during the regulatory changes in Hong Kong. Then last but not least, what really fueled it off, what really changed a lot, was the announcement that happened on the 15th of February regarding China Telecom. Now, how much should we trust this? Does it still make sense to buy all of this? So, of course, these are now baked into the price, these news, right? The corporations. What about this whole China narrative around crypto now, that China will suddenly onboard crypto? It's interesting, right? I have lived in Hong Kong for more than 10 years, and I can give a bit of a background why this is happening now in Hong Kong. Hong Kong has a pretty strong competition with Singapore. Okay, so there were pretty tight COVID lockdowns in Hong Kong. You were not allowed to travel in and out of Hong Kong quite a bit. So there was quite strict quarantine rules. There's still the rule in Hong Kong that you have to wear the mask outside whenever you leave any kind of building. When you're in public areas, you have to wear the mask. This is very different to Singapore. Singapore is way more open now. You can just travel in and out. Hong Kong has just changed this, but the mask is also gone in Singapore. A lot of expats, they moved from Hong Kong to Singapore, also because there's more regulatory certainty now in Singapore, right? Hong Kong is now strongly influenced by the mainland Chinese government that potentially creates some issues, right? You don't really know how safe your funds really are. On top of that, within mainland China, you've got tight capital controls, which you don't have in Singapore. And so there is this competition happening between the two cities, and it looks like Hong Kong is losing. And so Hong Kong tries to catch up, even though there are all these capital controls, and even though mainland China might not really like what Hong Kong is doing here with crypto, they simply just try to keep up. And that's probably why they're laxing those rules somewhat. This does not mean that mainland China will suddenly become super crypto friendly, simply because of the capital controls. And it's also yet to be seen how well Hong Kong will adapt to all of this. If you now have a brokerage, right, a crypto brokerage in Hong Kong, in order to accept retail, you still have to apply for a license. And then, of course, you've got KYC and all of these things probably in there as well. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting watch, but I think the market in general might be overreacting with this whole China story. I don't really buy yet that China will become the new global crypto hub, and Bitcoin will probably also rather feel safer in Singapore than in Hong Kong. I don't really see how this image can be changed anytime soon. But let's go back to Conflux actually, right? The two partnerships, they made all of this happen. Let's look at the usage of the blockchain. So Conflux, to me, it appears like has two kinds of blockchains, one of them being EVM compatible. So you can simply just interact with MetaMask with this. And for the other blockchain, you do need the specified wallet of Conflux. When you look at this blockchain, right, the smart contract platform, you see in DeFi Llama a quite interesting hike and then a decline again, and now a second rally. The first rally went up all the way to 70 million, right? And currently we are at 18 million. the decentralized apps that are deployed on Conflux are Swappy, Moonswap, and Flux Protocol. So Swappy and Moonswap are decentralized exchanges. And especially Swappy seems to be profiting from this quite a bit, right? In the last month, plus 300% in terms of total value locked, which obviously also is impacted by the asset prices on the decentralized exchange. So these are not just inflows of money, this is simply just the valuation of the tokens on Conflux going up together with the Conflux price. And so when we look at Swappy itself, right, the token, by the way, is PPI. It looks pretty similar, right? We have our rise and then our fall and now the second rise again. This is the UI of Swappy. Okay, so you can do pretty much the standard things that you can do on any kind of decentralized exchange. You can farm. So this means you make money by other people trading, right? Whenever you trade on a decentralized exchange, some fees are falling off and those fees go to the liquidity pool providers. So if you put your money in such a liquidity pool, you can get quite nice APRs. You do have some additional risks, right? Like impermanent loss, etc. If you're not aware of these things, right, don't get into any of these plays, right? You first have to learn about DeFi in general, to get on something like this. But yeah, USDC to USDT, an APR of 17 to 35%. This is not bad at all. And there seems to be also some kind of leverage in here, which is okay for two stable coins. So that's farming, standard thing. Then we've got staking, and that's of the PPI token, which is native to Swappy. Okay, so always look at these kind of APYs that get paid out for staking, because they are an indication of how inflationary a token potentially is. So you don't want to hold the token without staking it, because usually they underperform the rest of the market, right? So I'm not really a fan of DEX token staking, but yeah, it's one of many options here as well. Now, how do you get money on Conflux? You can bridge money. It is a bit complex if you use the native wallet. The wallet isn't being used that much. So there's the very first red flag that I actually found here. Feel free to let me know if this is a false alarm or not. But what I noticed here is this is the Conflux related wallet, right? Fluent. So you can see here, it's being offered by Conflux Network. And we see, last time it was updated was in November of last year. It apparently has more than 10,000 users, but only 15 reviews. Now, I find this pretty interesting, right? The kind of relationship of how few reviews there are versus users, and the reviews all give 5 stars. So this does look somewhat fake to me. It doesn't look to me like there's really more than 10,000 users of this wallet. But yeah, feel free to share if you think this is normal. My first impression is it was not. Now, what we can also see is how we can get money from the Binance Smart Chain to Conflux. There is a bridge for this as well. So when you go to Swappy, right, you can simply just connect your MetaMask to this. So this seems to be running on the EVM compatible Conflux chain. What else do we have? So here's the bridge, right? This is just the bridge address, confluxhub.io/bridge. And when we go into further details, right, into who is launching this, I also get a mixed feeling. So Andrew Yao, or the complete name, where do we have it? It's over here. This guy apparently is the brainchild behind the Conflux network, right? It comes from the Tsinghua University, and apparently he's kind of heading this. But when you just looked at the Wikipedia article, I couldn't actually find anything around Conflux. He was simply just referenced in one of the many news articles. So that's interesting. What's also interesting is when we look at the scanner, let's see if this loads quickly enough. There are APYs that tend to be rising. So that's some kind of speciality here of this Conflux blockchain. It seems to be some kind of a hybrid. So usually a blockchain is either proof of work, such as Bitcoin, or it's proof of stake, such as Ethereum, right? So you either have to mine and you have to burn electricity in order to get the tokens and to verify transactions, or you have to lock away your tokens to do the same thing. Conflux seems to be doing both, right? They do have proof of stake and they do have proof of work. Let's see if we can find more details around here. So this is proof of stake. Here we've got proof of work charts as well. So both's happening. And the APY, interestingly enough, is increasing here for proof of stake, which I find surprising because one might expect when the usage of a blockchain is going up that the APY is going down because whatever rewards are paid out is getting split among more people. But that's apparently what's currently happening. What I also found interesting is that in terms of validation, it's still relatively centralized, which is okay, right? It's a young, small blockchain. It's only got a few million on it, but 25% are all validated by a single miner. Then we've got 16 and 15 and 11%. So basically more than half is being validated by the top 5 miners, which basically brings the issue of an attack, right? You can very easily rewrite the blockchain once you've got more than 50% of the mining power. So another thing to consider, putting a value on that blockchain, bridging it over is not necessarily super safe. Those bridges also tend to get hacked quite often. So don't get blinded necessarily by the APYs that you get on Swappy. It is an interesting project. It does have quite a lot of momentum behind it. And also the current trading volume isn't massive. So this is also good, right? You want to be buying a token when trading volume is rather low, right? Let's look at this. Let's maybe go to the daily chart. Okay, so let's do 1 day and let me show you what I mean. So whenever we have very high trading volume, right? Let's look here, for example, at the 18th of September, we also tend to have very high prices because that's then when the attention on the token is the highest. When everybody's looking at something, everybody's buying in, the price is the highest. The people that bought before, they are selling off. When then the attention goes down because the news has been digested, it's also when the price goes down. So we tend to have some kind of a correlation between trading volume and price. Okay, the more attention there is, the higher the price. And this is what we saw on the 18th of September. And when we go further back, unfortunately, I don't have this here in this chart. We can see this several times. So here, let's look maybe here at the 5th of September, or the 5th of February. Same thing, right? Price went up. The trading volume is high. Trading volume goes back to normal. Price also tends to decline. So you don't want to necessarily buy whenever trading volume is high. When we zoom out to the current price action, we see that trading volume tends to decline again. Okay, so on the daily chart, it's not yet that much down, but once you go to the hourly chart, it's pretty much back to normal levels. And that's kind of what you want, right? You want to be buying when the attention isn't that high anymore and when the price has already somewhat deflated. It hasn't deflated massively yet, right? From the top to the current price, we are down, what is it, 17% or so, 16%. It hasn't deflated massively yet, but the attention is already low. So whoever bought in seems to be holding now, and there isn't too much selling pressure once attention goes down. This is a better time to buy than to buy on those very, very high candles when everybody's watching. So that's a positive. I am, in general, somewhat cautious with whatever numbers come out of China, right? You can never really trust this 100%, and these 10,000 users on the Fluent wallet also makes me somewhat suspicious. The usage that we see here is very temporary. It seems to be incentivized usage, short opportunistic yield farmers that just took advantage short term and then left again. Something similar might be happening right now. But there is news, there are nice partnerships. We have to see if new partnerships will get announced again. If yes, then it makes sense to buy very, very quickly. Because what I do like about the token is simply how large those rallies are, right? Whenever there is an announcement, the rallies are like 100, 200%. So that's very, very positive. So one potential approach would be to do the exact opposite of a stop loss. What you could do is you could buy only if the price goes above a certain level. So you could say, maybe I speculate on another news coming out, on another partnership coming out. And in case that happens, I want to be part of that next rally and enter before the rest enters. So what you could do, for example, is you could set a buying order and only buy the token once it goes above, say, 36 cents. So in that case, when we do have another move to the upside, you would still be probably gaining quite a bit with just that purchase order. This would be one of many strategies, right? You have to be clever here, right? Whenever you get into an altcoin like this, into a risky altcoin like this, have a plan when to exit, when to enter. You want to already know what are the conditions for selling before you even buy the token, because then you've got a real plan. If you're just buying and hoping for it to further go up, you might as well just hold the bag and then in the end sell whenever it goes down by like 40% or so, which can happen in the meantime. So have a plan. One could be to potentially just buy when we see another rally up because of other news. Another plan could be to try to continue riding this wave, but just set a classical stop loss. But have an idea how you want to ride this. Currently, the momentum isn't too bad, right? The price is going up, the trading volume isn't too high. So this is a potential opportunity, but make sure that you find the right exit point. We discuss more of these kinds of opportunities in the Discord and in the Telegram chat. Looking forward to see you there. And of course, looking forward to see you in the next video as well. Bye-bye.